The grand ballroom shimmered under the weight of 1,000 crystals hanging from the ceiling. White roses and baby's breath cascaded from every table, their sweet fragrance mixing with the expensive perfume of the guests. But from where I sat, tucked away in a corner near the swinging kitchen doors, all I could smell was garlic bread and stress. My name is Carol, and I'm 72 years old. This grand affair, this opulent display of wealth at the Lakeside Manor in upstate New York, was my son Jacob's wedding. I'd spent my life running a small bakery, saving every penny so he could have the life I never did. And he'd found it, or so I thought, with a woman named Tiffany. The problem started the moment I arrived. I was wearing my best dress, a simple but elegant navy blue lace number I'd bought especially for the occasion. I'd even gotten my hair professionally done, the silver strands styled into a soft bun. I felt proud, ready to watch my only son get married. But as I walked towards the front pew, where a small handwritten sign read, "Mother of the Groom," a hand shot out and grabbed my arm. It was Tiffany, her eyes, as cold as the diamonds on her fingers, scanning my simple dress with disdain. "Carol," she said, her voice a low hiss, "what are you doing? You can't sit there." I was taken aback. I'm Jacob's mother. This is my seat." Tiffany let out a short, cruel laugh that made the hairs on my arms stand up. "This is the VIP section. For our important guests, my parents' friends from the country club are sitting here. We can't have you. Well, you know." She gestured vaguely at my entire being. "It would just look bad for pictures. Your style is a little dated." Her words were like tiny daggers, each one finding a soft spot in my heart. She then leaned in closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. "Look, the caterers are in the back. You can find a seat with them. You'll be more comfortable with your own kind." My own kind. The words echoed in my ears. Before I could even protest, she was gone, a blur of white silk and self-importance, leaving me standing alone in the aisle as guests whispered and stared. I saw my son, Jacob, across the room, laughing with Tiffany's father. He caught my eye for a split second, a flicker of something shame, maybe, before quickly looking away. He said nothing. He did nothing. That hurt more than Tiffany's cruelty. My own son was letting this happen. Humiliation washed over me, hot and prickly. I wanted to turn around, walk out of that extravagant hall, and never look back, but I couldn't. I had to see my son get married. So, with my head held as high as I could manage, I made the long, lonely walk to the back of the room. The kitchen doors swung open and shut, blasting me with heat and the clatter of pots and pans. I found an empty chair at a small, undecorated table with the catering staff. Kind strangers who offered me a glass of water and a sympathetic glance. They didn't know who I was, but they could see my pain. From my forgotten corner, I watched the ceremony unfold. I saw Tiffany glide down the aisle, a smug smile plastered on her face as she passed the front row, now filled with her parents' wealthy friends. I saw her grip Jacob's arm, her perfectly manicured nails digging into his suit jacket. They exchanged vows they didn't mean, their words about love and honor ringing hollow in the cavernous room. During the reception, the toasts began. Tiffany's father, a slick real estate developer named Mr. Harrison, stood up, champagne flute in hand. "To my daughter, Tiffany, and her new husband, Jacob," he boomed. "I am so proud to welcome Jacob into our family, a bit of a fixer-upper coming from such a humble background, but with Tiffany's guidance, I'm sure he'll go far." He winked. And what a venue they chose. The Lakeside Manor. "This place must have cost a fortune. Jacob, you're a lucky man. She didn't scare you off with the bill." The crowd erupted in laughter. Jacob just stood there, smiling weakly, a puppet in their show. Tiffany preened, soaking in the attention. She looked over at me, a flash of triumph in her eyes, as if to say, *C. This is a world you'll never belong to. *. I sat there, invisible, my heart a leaden weight in my chest. I had poured my entire life savings, every dollar I'd ever earned from selling my pies and cakes, into buying this very venue years ago. It was my nest egg, my legacy. When Jacob and Tiffany got engaged, they complained they couldn't afford a nice wedding. So, as a gift, I offered them the manor for free. I told Jacob, "Son, use the venue. Don't worry about the cost. It's my wedding gift to you. Just promise me you'll be happy." I only had one condition, that they not tell Tiffany I was the owner. I wanted her to love my son for who he was, not for what he might inherit. I see now that was a foolish hope. Finally, the priest who officiated the wedding, Father Michael, an old friend of my late husband, walked up to the microphone for the final blessing. He was a good man, and he'd seen where Tiffany had sent me. He cleared his throat, and the room fell silent. Before we end with a prayer, he began, his voice calm but firm. I'd like to extend a special, personal thank you. We are all gathered in this breathtakingly beautiful place, a testament to what love and hard work can build. And it's important to honor the person responsible for this magnificent gift. Tiffany beamed, nudging Jacob, whispering, he's talking about my dad's contribution. Father Michael continued, his eyes scanning the room until they found me, sitting in the shadows. So, I would like to ask you all to join me in thanking the owner of the Lakeside Manor, who so generously provided this entire venue as a wedding gift, free of charge. He paused, a dramatic silence filling the hall. The guests leaned in, curious. Tiffany's smirk was frozen on her face. Let us all give a round of applause for the mother of the groom, Mrs. Carol Peterson. The name hung in the air. For a moment, there was nothing but stunned silence, heads turned, searching. Slowly, conversations died. Tiffany's face went through a rapid series of emotions, confusion, disbelief, and finally, sheer, unadulterated horror. Her jaw dropped, and the color drained from her face, leaving her looking like a terrified ghost in a $5,000 dress. Her father, Mr. Harrison, looked like he'd swallowed his champagne flute. All eyes in the room, hundreds of them, swiveled from the front of the room to the back, finally landing on me, the old woman in the simple dress, sitting at the caterer's table. I slowly stood up, my hands trembling slightly. The catering staff behind me began to clap, and then, like a wave, the applause spread through the entire room. It wasn't polite applause, it was loud, genuine, and thunderous. I saw Jacob's face. He was pale, his eyes wide with a dawning, gut-wrenching realization of what he had done, what he had allowed. He took a step toward me, but Tiffany grabbed his arm again, this time her grip like a vice. Her hissed whisper was loud enough for the front tables to hear. You knew, and you didn't tell me. The illusion was shattered. The fairy tale was over. I simply gave a small, dignified nod to Father Michael, and then to the guests. I didn't need to say a word. My quiet strength, my silent generosity, was my victory. I turned my back on the wedding, on my son and his new, horrified wife, and walked toward the main doors, not the kitchen entrance. The guests parted from me like the Red Sea, their faces a mixture of pity, respect, and awe. As I walked out into the cool night air, leaving the wreckage of their perfect, hollow wedding behind, I felt a profound sense of peace. The money, the manor, it was just a thing. My dignity, however, was priceless, and tonight, I had taken it back. Subscribe for more stories like this.